Hello there, hi, I'm Jo Winterott and I am the host of the Amijo show. This is a group of shows that I film every single day, generally about 2 o'clock, but today's been a bit of a random day. So by accident, I've ended up organising a meeting with the fantastic Louise Jupp. Hi, Louise.
Oh, how's it?
All the way from South Africa. And also, I have arranged for Laurelle Rond from Oxfordshire, UK, to come in as well. Hi, Laurelle.
Hi.
So yeah, so this is a real kind of like moment of meetings, and there's always a reason for that. So I figured let's just press the record button anyway, and see what comes out of it, because both of these women have incredible stories. I know that for a fact. I've known Louise only virtually for about a week,
Sure.
but I've known Laurelle for years and years and years. So it's fascinating when two people come together, and the conversations we were just having were fascinating already. So let's just see what happens, because obviously this show is about just talking about what's happening for ourselves, but also the bigger picture of what's going on. So Louise is the author of, there we go, big plug, Precision Farming from Above. So Louise knows everything about drones and how they can be used impactively and effectively in looking after our environment. That's a very big title, but I think you can run with that, Louise, can't you?
Yes, I can. Yes, you got it. You got it.
And Laurelle Rond is the opposite end of the scale. So Laurelle Rond is the complete opposite, because you're all about the sky and Laurelle is all about the ground.
Okay.
I also drone a lot.
And Laurelle is all about sound and what's around us, and about energy and healing and connecting with the earth, and how we can heal ourselves on a very cellular level using sound and various other techniques. I never have enough words to explain Laurelle, because she is without doubt one of my absolute treasured friends. I've known her a long time, and she can heal pretty much anything. She really can. So so there we go. So lovely to have you both on the show. So let's go back to drones then, you guys. I'm going to let you guys talk, because you were having such an interesting conversation without me. So you were talking about, Louise, talking about how drones can be used to really really help the environment by being much more specific about how they can help preserve and nourish the land through the right fertilization.
Pretty much. I mean, it's the data that you're gathering. That's perhaps the more important. I mean, drones are part of a system. It's not just the drone. It's what information that you can gather with them. So you are enabling people to be far more informed in a almost real time, and in some cases a real time perspective. And it just means that you can make better decisions. And that can apply in terms of how you're spraying a fertilizer, or how you're spraying chemicals or water even, or knowing where your water is flowing across your land, stuff like that. It just means farmers can be far more efficient and productive, ultimately. So yeah, it's an amazing tool, basically.
And I guess, can be used to literally film the whole of the planet. Am I just being wishful thinking there? I don't know how they work. I've got no idea.
Well, it depends, because I mean there are many different types of drones. I mean, there are the small scale sort of multi-rotor, the ones where you got sort of like the typical one you've probably seen. I haven't got one with me to show you, but then there are these high altitude drones that can stay in the sky for a long time, and basically you can integrate different types of data. So you integrate it with satellite data, for example. Yeah. So in some ways we've already got that global coverage, but with drones at different levels, and different data gathering sort of setups, you can actually gain a huge picture of what's going on. And if I can just say, it's really important to make sure you are integrating the data. The drones in themselves don't solve everything, but the data that they produce integrated with other data is really powerful.
Does each farmer have access to computers so that they can analyze the data, or does this go to a central bank and then get fed out?
It can really depend on who you might be, or whether or not you're using your own drone and data setup. I mean, some farmers are doing this for themselves, like in America. And there are software platforms where farmers can upload their images onto there, and then the data is converted into something that they can then analyze and apply the results for. So there is a sort of central database, if you want to put it like that. But sometimes farmers rather get someone else to do it for them. So, I mean, I have to, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think in terms of data sharing and privacy. I know that that's very important for farmers. So there needs to be some form of management of that information, because sometimes it could be very commercially important that that information isn't made available to the public, but universities are doing this as well. So it's quite an interesting thing. That's something that's still to be resolved. Who owns the data? You know, who has rights to that data?
And the industries that create the fertilizers and the chemicals, the pesticides, presumably they have to have access to the data so they know how to change things, but equally I see the privacy issues on that.
Absolutely. It's one of the biggest things that's coming out of drones is privacy. You know, even if just flying one for fun in the back garden, you know, you can find your neighbors get very excited about this. You know, and rightly so, depending on how you're flying the drone. But even if you're flying a reasonable height, say like 50 meters, 100 meters, you know, that can still be of concern to people because the quality of the cameras. So it's something that hasn't really been resolved yet. It's sort of being resolved through the regulations, trying to make sure that pilots do fly respectfully and don't fly right outside the window, you know. But there is still a general pervasive concern, and my sort of experience is that the first thing is I'm going to shoot that thing out of the sky, or I'm going to knock it down with a broom, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, is an immediate go-to reaction by the public, rightly or wrongly.
So tell us about your background, Louise, because it's obviously a very unusual thing to get into.
My background, my background is environmental management, environmental impact assessment. I grew up on a diet of David Attenborough, so I have a huge thing for conservation and environment and wildlife and habitats and what have you. But also, I've always had a thing about aviation, and drones have just captured an imagination for me that there is, I like solving problems, and they just provide an opportunity to solve problems. Look, like I said, they're not the silver bullet, but they provide, they are something that's far better than what we currently had. You know, and I just think that there's enormous power in them, and I think we've hardly seen how they can be used from a perspective of using them in industry or in farming or what have you, and how they can actually have a positive impact on the environment.
Yeah, well, we need to do anything we can, and as technology evolves, it should be used almost instantly. I think it's like, if we've got it, we should be using it once it's safe, etc. So, sorry.
No, I was going to agree.
yeah, no, great. So, so coming back down to earth then, and literally coming over to Oxfordshire, I've got Laurelle Rond here, who is very much into energy, and I'm just going to let Laurelle Rond talk about her. How you
drone on, aren't you?
Let you drone on, Laurelle, because I've got too much to say about you, and I'll just end up droning on, and then we're all droning on.
Do you know how many times I've heard that joke, by the way?
Absolutely.
Sorry. Laurelle, it's your fault. You first mentioned it. So, obviously, we are in a time of challenge and a pause. I'm calling this a pause, rather than using these negative words like lockdown, which is all very oppressive and negative. But obviously, you work with energy and healing. So, how are things for you, and what's happening for you?
Well, for me, this whole time is an absolute gift. I think that Mother Earth has given us an absolutely ingenious way of halting at least some pollution and of changing our habits. I don't know about South Africa, but certainly in Britain, we were becoming horribly materialistic, often people's hobby was retail therapy, buying clothes that they didn't even wear. And in fact, fashion is the second biggest polluter in the world. And by having this situation now, we don't need to buy new clothes because we're not going out to see anybody. So it single-handedly stops that one. It single-handedly stopped air traffic. Within, I think, just a few weeks, dolphins were swimming back in the Venetian canals. The pollution was way, way down in China. The roads around here are quiet. The skies are quiet. The birds are singing. It's glorious, and it's giving us time. Now, obviously, this is not for people who are working extremely hard in hospitals, and I'm not entirely unaffected, because yesterday my youngest was made a doctor because he's in final year medical school, and this was all brought forward. He was due to come to South Africa for an elective, but unfortunately that got cancelled. So, you know, he as of next week will be out on the front line, as they call it. So I'm not being in any way fanciful here, but for those of us who are not in hospitals or in endless supermarkets and who are being asked to stay at home, it's giving us time. It's bringing us into the present moment. The past is irrelevant. It's almost as though the slate has been wiped clean. We have no idea what the future brings. So there is only the present moment. And gloriously, we find ourselves in one fell swoop in it, where many philosophers and metaphysicians have been trying to get us to be in the present moment for years, and we failed miserably. So I think this really is a gift of time. It's a gift in which hopefully we will change our habits, because no longer is life about money. Life is becoming extraordinarily about altruism and values. And every Thursday night, we all gather outside our front doors and clap the NHS and all the health workers. And it's quite glorious. It's quite glorious.
Yes.
So I think there are many, many positive things that are coming from this situation. And all I else will say, because there are so many, is that everyone is having a different experience now.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that the experience that anyone is having is acting as a mirror to reflect back to them what they need to work on in themselves. And if we all take that, hard as it is, we will become better people at the end of this. Our consciousness will raise, and maybe we will even save this beautiful planet of ours.
We can hope. We can hope. Yeah, but I think you're absolutely right, Laurelle. So I'm just going to use myself as an example. So Laurelle's known me many years, and I've always been passionate about what I do and love doing it, but actually just struggled to get totally visible behind a camera doing this kind of show. I've done stuff a bit, and also write my book I've been procrastinating about for 6 years. And literally, so Andrew Priestley contacted me on last Saturday, 5 days ago, and 6 days ago, and asked me to write a chapter for a book. And within 4 days, it's an international bestseller. So therefore, I guess I'm an international best-selling author. I still struggle to say that. And I'm doing this show. And actually, so you're totally right. You're totally right, because I've started doing this show, and I thought, no, do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. Just do it, because now's the time. Now's the time to do the stuff that we haven't really looked at, haven't experimented with. You know, the first couple were a bit, you know, kind of, because I wasn't getting my flow. But once I got my flow, I love doing this. And you know, there's a lovely joy of speaking to people all over the nation and the planet right now that are going through different things. And I'm stepping into my kind of out of my shadow into this, which has just been amazing. I'm actually really grateful for this moment for me, because I've had to stop. I've got twin girls, just me, you know, my life is very, very busy, and having to stay still is creating this opportunity. How about for you, Louise? What's going on for you? Because obviously you are totally in lockdown. You're not allowed to go out at all, or buy alcohol either in South Africa.
No. Should I say that's the first thing I stocked up on when there was news that the lockdown was coming? Four bottles of gin and a can of tuna. I was ready.
One day we'll have one of those together, Louise. One day.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been a really interesting experience. I think the same sort of things that Laurelle was saying there, and for you is that we are all thinking about how important our lives are beyond the normal things, and the togetherness is quite something that, I mean, I am trying to work from home, but I spend half the day communicating with friends, and it's lovely because, you know, suddenly I've got in contact with people I lost contact with years ago. And it's absolutely wonderful, this connectivity. And every night at 7 o'clock, do you remember the vuvuzelas from the World Cup? You know, the soccer, that sort of trumpet thing? I don't know if you remember that. That was something that was just the thing about the World Cup over here. There's people blowing them outdoors at 7 o'clock every night for our health workers. And the noise is just fantastic. And there's a few bugles out there as well. And it's just amazing how... yes, it's a complete and utter disaster from one perspective, but it is creating some positivity. And the thing for me from an environmental perspective is that there's, you know, I've seen reference now in articles to planetary science. And from one perspective, you almost want to say about time. You know, these are not isolated systems. They are conjoined. I mean, was it Lovelock talked about Gaia? Yeah. And, you know, this is Earth, and it's fantastic that now, because of the sort of concept that these pandemics are going to carry on, because we've affected the system so much that animals are stressed, they're coming into contact with things and people they shouldn't be, and they're passing on their diseases and what have you. It's not the animal's fault, it's something that's coming about as a consequence of other things. And I just think that that's really important, and it's great that that's now finally being discussed. This is a system that's ill, not just one thing. And so that's kind of cool. I think that this is generating thought and revising and going back to square one, perhaps.
And it's another reflection on the system, the external system that is ill, reflects on the internal system that is ill. So there's a lot of language about war. So people are on the front line and the lockdown and all of this.
Yes.
And yet this is an internal war. It's not an external war. Thank God there are no bombs and guns. But it's requiring us to clean up our act on external and internal levels. So we're having great essays on how to wash our hands, for example. But this has become more internal still, how we clean up our minds. You know, look at ourselves and get rid of the old frankly not working for us anymore systems of beliefs inside. Actually bring in the positive things which will make us feel so much happier, the gratitude, the love, and all of that stuff. And we can train our minds to do this. And it takes work, just as it takes work to clean up the planet. But I always remember the beautiful lotus. The lotus grows in mud, and out of this mud appears this extraordinarily beautiful flower, and we are all capable of doing that. And if this time can take us out of the mud into the bloom, then it will go down in history as an extraordinary opportunity.
And I hope that it really it lasts, it sticks. I hope that mud sticks, you know, that we've gone through this, but we need to remember we can't go back to how we were. And from me, from my point of view, and certainly when I've been speaking to a lot of the authors of this book, that actually there are so many businesses that are having to flip themselves inside out to make their own systems that work now with nobody being physically together. But they're doing it because they have to, and they wouldn't have done it otherwise. And, you know, single mums are at home, and people that have disabilities are suddenly in a whole level playing field of being employable. because they can now work from home, because everyone is working from home. You know, in the scheme of things, say, oh, so actually, how about that we retain this after we come out of this pause, and we go into a whole state of, right, this is what the norm is now. Going to the office is the difference. That's the unusual. And what a different nurturing environment we have for our families, because that's a lot of my conversations I've had, is that, you know, it is challenging for some families, but what a difference it's going to be making to those children that are brought up in environments like this right now.
This is also a very good practice field for artificial intelligence, which is going to come in increasing amounts. I believe by 2050 we will have robots that can feel emotion, and they're going to take over many of our jobs. So we are going to be at home having to deal with freedom and choice. And I speak to people who say, well, I'm just trying to fill my day. It's not about filling your day. It's actually about living and creating a quality life where you're not being told what to do the whole time. And people have never had this. It's beautiful. If you read it in a book and you were told you can now go on holiday for most of the rest of your life and just work a little bit, wouldn't we all go, yes, I want a 2-day working week? Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. But we need to learn self-responsibility of how to. So children now are going home and they're learning their lessons online. This is a huge step towards self-responsibility. And also, just to echo what you said, Jo, about the level playing field. I mean, suddenly race is irrelevant, gender is irrelevant, age is irrelevant. The only thing that becomes relevant really is your ability to do Zoom or whatever technology you have. But level, you know, wealth is irrelevant. As long as you've got the one machine, you can do anything. So it's extraordinarily ingenious. It's brilliant.
It is. We have literally just become a human race again, because we are all exactly the same in that same one race. And it almost, I think that's what we can feel when we're all out on our doorsteps and we're all screaming and shouting for the NHS. Actually, we're just grateful that people are caring for others.
Yeah.
You know, including your son now, which is amazing. Because I hadn't thought of that he must be starting early. So no, really fascinating times, and also time for creativity, because, you know, actually take that time. If you are trying to fill your day, think to yourself, well, actually, what could I possibly do? And I call it like the plan B. Just think and outside the box thinking of, well, what else could I do? Why don't I start looking at and exploring an opportunity to do something else with my life that comes from a deeper purpose. You know, and what you're doing, Louise, is very much about a purpose. It's got such, you know, a wonderful resonance of the bigger picture, and everyone can do that. They don't have to be knowledgeable about drones. They can be sat at home thinking, well, actually, what can I do? What feels like it's different just for me that I could do differently, but actually share that message, because we can share these messages. We can grow audiences. We can help spread the word of making a difference right now. And I just implore people to just think about what they could do differently to make a difference.
And it helps people to have relationships with themselves. You know, we talk about having relationships with our friends and colleagues, but how many of us actually give time to a relationship with the self? And being creative is the most extraordinary way to dig deep and explore who you are and become a much more whole person, rather than this automaton that just does the same thing day in and day out.
Fantastic. Oh my gosh, wonderful conversation. I had a feeling, you guys, honestly. I love it. So Louise, bear with, because Laurelle, obviously part of what she does is chanting and singing. And she you can see her harp in the background. Her studio is like an Aladdin's cave of all the most incredibly like weird looking but powerfully beautiful objects from all around the world, including bowls and all that sort of stuff. But you were going to do a bit of some chanting and some healing, weren't we?
Well, I wrote.
Going to get Louise singing.
Yeah, I wrote a song for you, so would you like me to sing it?
I absolutely would. Thank you so much.
Okay. So I thought, well, what would Joe like to have as something inspiring, as what has creatively come out of this time? So this is what I came up with. Deep inside the earth, deep inside the sea, deep inside the source, I look for me. Deep inside this well, deep inside this love, deep inside below, deep inside above, deep inside the peace, deep inside the space, deep inside the silence, deep inside this place, deep inside this purpose, deep inside the truth, deep inside my heart, I at last find you. Deep inside the now, deep inside the core, deep inside ourselves, at last we find our soul.
Thank you.
For
That was
you.
beautiful. You always get me to cry.
I'm
You're a
sorry.
meanie. You're a meanie.
But with happiness, I hope.
With joy and happiness and love. Thank you. That's beautiful. You just wrote that for me.
I did.
Harp next time, maybe we could get the harp going.
We could. A sound doesn't come across beautifully, unfortunately, on this medium. The voice is better because you can be more direct. The sound waves kind of scatter too much.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you plug in a mic though, if you plug in a mic.
Now you're being technological.
Plug it in, okay? Or actually, even better, the headphones. You know, that just normal headphones. If you plug those in, the headphones, the microphones on the headphones are phenomenally powerful.
Okay.
You know, the ones that dangle down there are really annoying. Well, they are for me.
Yes.
They work really well. They're very powerful.
Okay.
And they would really pick up the sound of any of the instruments because they work very on a very high level compared to the speaker on your phone or whatever device. Ladies, thank you so much. That was just such an amazing conversation. Wow. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that, viewers. Thank you very much to Louise Jupp in South Africa, and we hope your stay inside is over soon because you're on 21 days thing too, aren't you?
Thank you.
And also Laurelle Rond from Oxfordshire, thank you for tuning in. I'll put everyone's details in the comments on this channel, and please make some comments because then YouTube likes it and then they share it out a little bit and spread the love. And everyone should hear that song today, I think. That's what I think anyway, but I'm biased because I'm a big Laurelle fan. So thank you for tuning in, and that's me, Jo Woolman-Trott, and that was the Amijo Show.
Thank you, bye.